I'm Holly.
And I'm Bridget.
And this
is Girls Next Level.
Welcome back to Girls Next Level, everybody. We're here. So we just got done filming a really exciting interview that'll happen next week. It's with somebody that I don't think has ever done like a long interview before.
Definitely not one that I've heard of.
Yeah, but she dropped some good stuff, so we're excited about it.
And it was so good to get to know her a little better.
I know, totally. And today we are back with My Bear Lady.
Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know, this is for an upcoming episode, so sorry to jump the gun a little bit, but I found some stuff in my scrapbook that's related to our snowboarding episode that's coming up, and it's cool. Kind of internal memos and like what Playboy and Burton and PR and everybody was thinking. So I'm really excited to share all of this stuff with you guys.
Ooh, is there dirt in there?
It's nothing like dirt, but it just kind of goes to show how much it kind of meant to Playboy to have us be associated with this kind of young, hip brand and how excited they were to like really make this happen. And it's sort of different than how I remember things going down, because I sort of remember it being, well, I mean, I know it was my idea to do this, and I know that I had somebody that I knew at Burton, but it's interesting how much it kind of meant to Playboy to have this happen.
So what scene did we leave off on?
I
Was
know.
it me at the studio?
I think so. I think we were talking about you at the studio, and I was kind of annoyed because I felt like they were really making it seem like your biggest job that day was doing mixology.
Totally.
Like making those drinks.
I know.
Like I felt like that's kind of like they were like, okay, yeah, Holly, that's what Holly did today.
Yeah, and really I didn't have a job to do so much. I was literally there to learn. So I feel like it makes sense, but they are trying to make me look dumb.
Yeah, I just felt like, so they're having you're skating around in your Heelys, which like big deal. It's a cement floor. It's a big studio.
And I brought those on purpose because this is a reality show. They want like kind of fun and crazy. I know I'm not the most personality plus, so I thought that would be like a more fun visual and give a little more energy to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think when we were shooting our pictorials, I noticed the cement floors and thought that would be fun, and I wanted the Heelys, and you got them for me for Christmas for that purpose.
Yeah. And I just feel like this whole scene is to make it look like you're not serious and you're not taking it serious and you're not qualified to do the job. And then they have Marilyn kind of screaming out, "Where's Holly?" like in a very snippy, like irritated kind of way. And it may have been taken out of context, I don't know, or it may have been her actually doing that. But I just feel like it was to show that you're just frustrating them and you're wasting time and not taking it, you're not there to do the job and not qualified to do the job.
I loved being at the studio, and it was something I realized when we were shooting our first pictorial, the cover for our first pictorial, because that was our first day in the studio, is that it was the polar opposite of the mansion in so many ways. And when I think back on my Playboy experience, my work experience, and my personal life experience were also so polar opposite. Because like at the studio, you have this modern building with skylights, and everything's white and bright and sunny, and everybody's in a good mood and happy to see you, or at least they acted like that when we were there. I know there was a little bit of conflict behind the scenes, at the studio with some people, but it seemed really positive and just productive. And the mansion, for me, was not productive. It was very slow and sloggy, even though I very much love an old classic home. It was an old moldy pea-stained home as well, and it was very dark and dingy, and it was a lot of negativity and a lot of like, I can't do anything right in hef size, and a lot of rules and regulations. So I just felt like those two places under the Playboy umbrella, for me, I don't know how other people experienced it, but for me, they were polar opposites. And I remember that first day shooting our cover, we were laying on that bed set, and I remember saying, I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I wish I could come here every day.
Yeah. I loved my studio experience too. I always thought it was exciting but for me it was sort of for different reasons, obviously, but for me it was more about like the creativity that can happen there, the creativity that everybody puts into it, having like carpenters who can like make any kind of set, or, you know, stylists and makeup artists who can create any kind of look, and photographers who can photograph it and make it right and stuff. Like, the creativity like is very exciting and inspiring to me. So I really liked it in that way. Like, I wanted to like come there every day and do a different kind of shoot and a different kind of look. Like, I loved that whole atmosphere and energy. I liked how everybody made you feel so comfortable. So I really loved the studio too, but for totally different reasons.
Well, I liked all those same reasons too, but I think you also felt like the mansion was a place you could be creative as well.
Oh, it was. And especially like my room was like my sanctuary, and it was a place that I could have, you know, girls come up and hang out and be creative, and I had my own time and my own place and space. And
yeah, I felt kind of the opposite. I felt very limited. Like, I couldn't be creative at all. I did feel like there was one side of my personality and special interest that I could really indulge, and that was like the old Hollywood special interest, because Hef was super into that. But other than that, I didn't feel like I could be creative at the mansion. So the studio felt like the exact opposite.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you couldn't feel creative there?
Because Hef was always on my ass. And it was, if I veered slightly from what he expected or wanted me to be, it was a fucking freak out. And I couldn't even stay in your room for an extra hour without him practically dragging me out by my hair. You know what I mean? And I just felt like I had zero privacy in the master bedroom, people walking in and out all the time, not really having my own space. It just felt like I had this giant cloud over me 100% of the time.
Right.
One thing I notice when I'm skating around the studio from the shots of me from behind are my extensions are not blended with my hair at all. And that's something I noticed throughout this series, and it drives me up the wall. And we were getting our hair done professionally, and I just don't think it was something people really focused on that much back then with extensions, is blending the real hair and the extensions.
Yeah, I didn't notice it for you, but I hate it when I see that in myself, when I can see like an extension showing.
It's like a shelf.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. So I know what you mean. And in commentary, you're talking about how Marilyn was wearing a hat and it said E on it, and they blurred it out.
She was being so cheeky wearing the hat that says E, which of course is way too meta for them. They're going to blur it out. And they have Marilyn call me into the office with doom music playing in the background because they want to make it look like I'm slacking off. I'm not
you're in
taking
trouble.
This seriously. But in reality, there's just so much downtime on a shoot day that you do have a little bit of time to skate around, because sometimes you've asked all the questions you can ask and you're still just like waiting for the lighting and waiting for the
paint
hair
to
and
dry,
makeup,
or
literally paint to dry, things like that. There was just always a lot of downtime. Like when I eventually got the job at the studio, there would be times when it was like the setup and the makeup time where I would just go back to my office and I'd work on layout, or I'd go through Playmate tests, or I'd schedule things, or you could get like a lot of other shit done, which is what Marilyn's doing in her office.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Well, then they cut to you in an interview and you say, they can't be mad at me. I'm the boss's girlfriend. And I know you're being funny and cute and stuff, but I also feel like it can be taken in a different way, like look very like entitled,
like I'm just being a bitch,
and that you're just goofing off and wasting everybody's time, and you know, just to say you work there or whatever, and it's just, you know what I mean, and it's just, you're just flip about it.
Yeah, but I thought it was just a funny line, like what are they gonna do?
Right. So they show the set, and it's like after hours at the club.
Before that, when I'm in Marilyn's office, she said, what I'd love to accomplish is get the cover done today. But I think she means the centerfold. I think it was just a slip of the tongue. Because that's all we were doing is a centerfold. And then we go onto the set, and it's a big set. It's bright. I love the colors on this set so much. It was very like blues and purples and pinks and just bright and neon.
Miami colors.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a Miami nightclub, which at that point in my life, I'd never been to a nightclub in Miami in my life, but
I don't think
how we
I had
all
either.
imagined it. Yeah. And then Steve is like talking to the model, and he says, she's been doing all the disc jockeys. What is it you do?
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing on the prop drinks, which like you said is like my only job.
Yes.
But it's also stuff like that is so important on a centerfold, like when every little detail is being nitpicked, the stuff that tells a story. It's so, did I ever tell you about the hate letter I got in Playboy for the quality of the centerfold?
I don't know. Tell me.
Well, Playboy, you know, being a magazine back in the day, they had letters to the editor in the front part of the magazine. And any, you know, fair magazine will publish both positive and negative. So when the Tamara thing came out, when our Centerfold was actually published, some lady wrote in how awful it was and how I did such a horrible job and maybe they should hire her because she's the only one paying attention. They said it was horrible because she accused me of airbrushing out Tamara's lower back tattoo, which nobody did. The thing is like in the Centerfold, she's wearing like these 6-inch platform heels. She has her back arched to the gods. And the way the lighting is, you just can't see the tattoo.
Oh.
Nobody retouched it out.
Yeah.
You know, nobody did that. But she accused me of doing it because, you know, she's the only one who's paying attention.
Yeah.
And then she's like, and, you know, there was no personality in this. What about like lipstick on the rim of one of those drinks or something like that? And to me, like a Playboy Centerfold is supposed to be like sexual fantasy. You don't want the dirty details. You don't want the crumbs on the bed. You don't want the lube stain in the corner.
Ew,
and you don't want the lip print on the glass. So that's how I feel about it.
Yes.
There would be a Centerfold they published later after we left when I was still getting a Playboy subscription where there were crumbs on the bed. And it was so gross to me. I know I've shown it to you before.
Like actual like cookie
talking
crumbs or something? Like,
well, it had a tray on the bed that I guess was supposed to be like room service or something with like a grilled cheese sandwich. And it looked like there were crumbs on the bed.
I remember you showing me that, yeah.
That's not a Playboy Centerfold. I'm sorry.
And it's such one of those things, like people, like it's one of those things that people universally hate, like crumbs in the bed. And it's one of those even like little sayings that people say, like, oh, I wouldn't kick her out of bed for
eating crackers.
Or something like that. Like, so it's a universal thing that people hate. So why would you put it in?
I don't know. I just think there's a point where it's supposed to be a fantasy. You don't want too much realism.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, realistic to a point, so it feels real, but come on.
You guys know that this is my favorite time of year, and some of the stuff that I'm really looking forward to as the weather turns cooler is like going to the hockey games, hot cocoa, pumpkin pie, and slipping into some super cozy, comfortable, warm clothes, like the new tracksuit that I got from Quince. Quince is known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. Oh, I have one of those too, and it is so soft and cozy. And it's not just that. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That includes beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. How are they able to do that, you might ask? By partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, which passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And of course, premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. So I just got these new tracksuits. I got a pink set, like a zip-up hoodie and sweatpants, and they are so soft, and it just feels amazing when I wear it. And then I got a black set too. Again, the pants are just super cozy and soft, and then it's a pullover hoodie. I just feel so cozy when I'm wearing them.
I am for sure taking my Quince cashmere sweaters with me on my trip, and I am building outfits around them because I know it's going to be chilly, and I'll post them on social so you guys can see. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/nextlevel for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/nextlevel to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/nextlevel.
And I think the next thing is interesting because you're looking through the wardrobe and you say, even though this is a nude pictorial, you don't really think about clothes, but there's still a lot of accessories and different clothing items that we work with during the shoot. And I feel like people don't think of that, but a lot goes into the clothing and the shoes and the accessories and all of that kind of stuff. And Playboy has a big, like, clothing, like a big closet.
100%. Like, you guys would be surprised to even know how much clothing is used to like shape a body. How in a Centerfold you'd sometimes like tape a nightie to create like a curve or something. So it really matters.
Yeah, and I know that you've probably seen it in some of our pictorials that we've done and everything, but they'll clamp things behind us so it's fitting tight so that all of your curves are showing.
Yeah.
Like, clamps and tapes and all kinds of things to make the clothes fit amazing.
It's super important. Or sometimes you want like a sheer underwear. So if like the pose is too explicit, you're not like showing every fucking thing, but it still looks sexy. You know? And then at some point, because we're talking about the storyline of this shoot. And first of all, this line Steve says is there's so many layers of the onion to it. Because first of all, what you're seeing is completely out of context because we were tasked with shooting the centerfold first. And once the centerfold got approved, then we could move on to small camera. But on the show right now, you haven't seen us shoot the centerfold. They're already showing the small camera where we're picking out like a dress for her at the nightclub. So it's already out of continuity is already fucked. Continuity's for pussies. And then Steve says, wait, where did she get the dress if you're coming from this? Because the pictorial is supposed to tell a story of like the night you're spending with this girl or the day you're spending with this girl.
So she starts out in this dress and then it goes down into this lingerie and then it's nude.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
So he's like, where'd she get the dress? And he goes, fuck continuity. And I'm like, first of all, that's fuck continuity is so appropriate for the show, but also for the scene because the scene isn't even in context.
Yeah. But I think it's so interesting how much thought goes into all of that in order to get that continuity. Like, if she started in this dress, how does she get, like, this skirt on? Because it wouldn't have been underneath that dress. So you have to think of something that's going to look good underneath, theoretically could have looked good underneath that dress to then get to this lingerie or however, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy how much thought, because I think people don't think that much thought goes into the story or the clothes or any
Not
of
at
that.
all. They just think it's a pretty random naked girl.
Yeah.
And just so you know, like not according to layout, like it wouldn't always be published to the point of continuity, but we tried.
Yeah.
Sometimes things would get lost in translation. And I think we mentioned this last week, but this episode was filmed in January. And you can tell because I'm wearing a thermal. It's very cold out.
Yeah. And then you say, if you want to be an editor, you have to be decisive and move pretty fast because there are a lot of pictures to get through. But I think like also what you have to be quick to do is make decisions, like snap decisions, like those 100%. Shoes or these shoes. Yeah. That skirt or this skirt, this underwear, like hair up, hair down. Like it's just like on the, the glass here or the glass here. Like there's so many millions of decisions for each pictorial.
Yeah.
And they need to be decided right now.
Yeah. I'm good at doing that. I think that was one of the reasons they liked me for the job right away.
See, I'd be horrible at that. I'd be like, well, I mean, that
pros
one looks good. Yeah, I would sit there and totally be like, well, if, total pros and cons.
You have to do that with the edit, too. You have to be able to, like, tap, 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 like, flip through the pictures and right away know which ones are the ones.
Yeah. I think I would be terrible at it.
I heard Steve Wada was talking shit about me on other podcasts.
I saw
that. Did you see that on Patreon?
Yes.
And I try to take stuff like that with a grain of salt because this has happened to me so many times where people online will be like, oh, so-and-so was talking shit about you on here. And then I get all riled up and I go listen to it and they weren't even talking about me. Like I can kind of see where maybe they came to the conclusion they were talking shit, but in my mind it wasn't talking shit.
Yeah.
So I try and take that with a grain of salt, but...
Did you listen to this one?
No.
Yeah.
Because I'm just done listening to those podcasts and even giving them the click. And I'm done. And I'm done. Like some of these people too, like I've reached out to and tried to make peace with, and they're still having people on and laughing along. And when they talk shit, and I'm just like,
yeah,
you can try to take the high road, but then.
Yeah. And it's like you've reached out an olive branch to most of these people.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to take it, then it's on them.
Yeah. So maybe he wasn't talking shit. I don't really know, but he might have been.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I'm so careful when I'm talking about people and my experiences with them in the past is I'm always very careful to talk about what my experience with them was at the time. Like, let's take, for example, Julie McCullough. Like, she's had a lot of shit to say, so maybe I don't like her now. But I really liked her for the most part back then. Like, I might have, like, a nitpick here or there, but I really liked her back then. I really thought she was so cute and da-da-da. And I try to stick to that because I feel like so many people from the Playboy days, because of what I've come out and said, will talk about me as if they never liked me or never thought I was good at anything or never. And so many people. And I'm like, okay, either all y'all were so fake as fuck back then, which that's on them, not me. And if that's true, that means that whole situation was even more toxic than I think it is. But I wonder too how much of it, and I think a lot of it is revisionist history, where they just don't like me now. So they're going to be like, oh, fuck her. Yeah, she was always stupid and she was always a bitch and da-da-da-da-da.
See, I think it's 100% that.
Yeah.
I think it's totally that. I think they loved you back then. I think there was no problem back then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my thought on it. And now that you, like, and it's not even wrote the book. I mean, some of it started with that.
Yeah. But Secrets of Playboy, and even
blame
this,
you for that, yeah.
Which on this podcast, I feel like we cover all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But those people don't classify it that way, because if you have the slightest off thing to say about Playboy, that means it's all bad and you suck and you've gone against the family, basically.
It's so weird because you can't have 7 years of your life or more and have everything completely positive. And I feel like this podcast is like probably 90% positive. And I just feel like, well, are we not supposed to say the negative things? Like, why is that a bad thing? Everybody, even if you looked at your relationship, if you were in a happy relationship for 7 years or 10 years, whatever, there's going to be times where you're like, oh yeah, but we did fight about that one time. Or there was this one trip where, we got, mad at each other or whatever. Like, there's always going to be negative times.
Or this is even why it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And when I say it's like a cult up there, I mean, for me, it really was, because I was like really in deep on a level that most people weren't. But when I say it was like a cult up there, that's the cult-like mentality I'm talking about. Like, I'm all about being loyal, but this is over the top. So looking back at this footage, I feel kind of bad because, being on the spectrum, I have like flat affect. Like, I don't have a lot of facial expressions. My voice is very flat. And I feel bad because looking back on this, it looks like I'm so much less enthusiastic about being there than I know I was feeling in the time. Like, I was so excited to be interning. I was so excited to be there. So I just want people to know that, even though it might not show.
Yeah.
So cutting back to you in your demo reel, tell me about it.
So it shows me pulling into the parking lot of the Post group. In an interview, I say, I'm meeting with the editor, Kevin, today. He put together my demo reel, and I'm a little nervous to see it. And just for the record, like, I'm always nervous to, like, watch myself back. Like, I don't like it. I don't like that feeling. I just feel I get really nervous. My palms get sweaty. Even though I know what I said and I know what I did and stuff, there's just still something about watching yourself back that's, like, nerve-wracking for me. Yeah. And I know for a lot of people experience it. So that's why I'm nervous about it. Like, I'm nervous to go watch this in front of somebody,
100%. No, well, nobody likes listening to their own voice. I've obviously kind of gotten used to it because I edit this podcast. But for the longest time, because every human's voice, I think, sounds different in their head when they're talking than when you hear it outside. So for the longest time, I cringed even like watching Girls Next Door episodes back because I hate hearing my own voice. And even like a while back, I was asking Zach to like show me his new show that he narrates, and he was down to show me. But even he was like, after a while, I was like, I can't hear my own voice anymore. We have to turn this off. Like,
yeah. So I feel like I've gotten used to my voice part, but still seeing yourself. And because every time you make an expression or different lighting or move your head a different way, you're like, I hope I don't look that way again. I don't know. I am constantly critiquing myself all the time. So that's why I'm nervous to watch it. And they have brownies sitting there. And this is the brownies that, I don't know if you guys remember, but Molly was talking about it. She made them special for me and had left them sitting there. And then also when she came and recorded our podcast not that long ago, she brought us each a batch of those brownies.
And you guys, they're no joke. Like, I'm not even blowing smoke. They're fucking good.
Yeah.
I want the recipe.
Fudgy and gooey. And then they have like a fudgy frosting on the top.
Yes.
They're like really, really good. And I'm picking on it because they told me they were for me, but they don't show them saying that on the thing.
Oh, because I was just going to ask you, why do you just pick off a crumb off the brownie and leave it?
Yeah. So I
thought
like,
they were his, and you're just like, yeah, here, have that brownie I touched.
She had particularly made them for me.
Oh my God.
And like they're sitting there and they told me that they were made for me, and I don't want to eat like a whole brownie, whatever. I don't know if I just came from lunch or whatever. I didn't want to eat a whole one, but of course I got to try them. So it shows me picking on them, and he was like, oh yeah, help yourself, as if like I'm just like fingering
totally
his
manhandling.
brownies. Yeah. Then I just think, ugh, there they go again. Like, this is like not even a food thing that I'm really upset about, but they make it,
because it's part of a bigger whole. It's like they never miss a chance.
Yeah. So they're definitely showing me tasting them, and then they're definitely making it look like I wasn't even invited to try them. I'm just like...
But you have to do a little mouse pick.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, help yourself. Gross.
Ew, no.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the vibe I get rewatching this.
Yeah, I know. No, because I had the question in there. That's what I thought. I thought, why did you just take a crumb and leave it?
Yeah.
You know how I always feel that way about is when like a restaurant brings bread, and to get the piece of bread you have to like manhandle the whole thing, and then I'm like, okay, here for the rest of the table now that I fucking touched all the bread.
Yes.
Like the worst place for that is Dan Tana's, because the way they serve the bread, you have to like tear off the crusty bread and you've like touched the whole thing. I need to just genius move, grab a paper napkin, put it on my hand and manhandle.
But I
never did that.
Do that.
Nobody does that. But then I always feel bad when I'm done. I'm like, here's the bread. I just put my clammy hands on.
Yeah, I think about that too. And so many restaurants have it that way, where you have to tear the bread off. You have to grab the whole thing. Or they bring you a knife and you have to cut the whole thing. So you got your whole hand on this loaf of bread and you're like, sawing
Aladdin
on it at the table. Yeah. So either way, like I like it just like little rolls or already pre-cut. So you just grab it and not touch everybody else's bread.
I'm getting ready to go on a trip, and I know what I'm going to be doing at the airport. I'm going to be playing June's Journey. June's Journey is an exciting but also relaxing game where I get to look at some of my favorite beautiful scenery, June's world in glamorous 1920s Paris, which I'm going to Paris, by the way, so I'm excited to get in the mood with this game, and I can't wait.
I know most of you know all about June's Journey by now, but for those of you who don't, June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game with a captivating detective story, taking you back to the glamour of the 1920s. With a diverse cast of characters, each new scene takes you further through a thrilling murder mystery story that sets the main protagonist, June Parker, on a quest to solve the murder of her sister and uncover her family's many secrets. Each chapter uncovers a collection of dazzling hidden object spectacles for you to solve. Mystery, danger, and romance, where will each new chapter take you? Plus, you get to customize your very own luxurious estate island. How fun is that? Escape reality and immerse yourself in the world of June Parker. So the next time you're waiting for a plane or for your dentist appointment, skip scrolling through Instagram and try out June's Journey. Can you crack the case? Download June's Journey for free today on iOS and Android.
They do some funny cuts back to Kevin's face. I like him as a little character.
Do you?
Yeah. He reminds me of my high school boyfriend. That's exactly what my high school boyfriend looked like, except my high school boyfriend was even more like hipster.
See, I really liked him. I thought he was amazing and everything, and I know it's probably the way he edited himself or whoever edited this, but like...
Do you think he edited his own scene?
It's possible.
That's so meta.
I don't know who did it.
That's me editing this podcast also, but I don't know why I'm so, ooh, what if he edited his own scene?
Well, and he tells me I can change whatever I want, and I do want to change the transitions because in between each transition, it goes to like the fuzzy, like TV noise.
That's weird for a demo reel.
And I thought it was too like jarring and everything, and I just feel like... Even though he said I could change whatever I want and I'm there to change it, to watch it and like make any changes I want, I feel like they're making it look like I'm really like hating it and want to change everything about it. And like his face is looking like he's like annoyed and hating on me too. So this scene bothers me because I feel like it just goes back to what I was saying last week, is that they're just trying to make it look like I'm not good enough for this. None of my stuff is good enough for this. And I shouldn't even be doing this. Like, I'm not legitimate. And this is just adding more to it.
Yeah, I hear you.
And it makes it look like I hate everything about his work that he did, too. And then I'm just sitting there, like, kind of, you know, he's a professional, and then I'm over here just like dissing it and like want to change everything, which was not true. Like I changed like a few things in it, and I almost feel like they did some things on purpose to see if I would change things. I could be totally wrong on that, but who puts the static noise in between clips?
I was just gonna say, when you're saying that, I have seen so many demo reels and I've never seen that.
Yeah,
that's jarring and weird.
And then at the end, I say, I like it. It's fun. It's quirky. It's fast, which is what I wanted. I wanted it to be quick, like little blips, you know, and just make it fun. I feel that way about this podcast. I felt this way about Girls Next Door. I feel like you wanna give just enough to where it's fun and exciting and has a good pace, and people want more after watching it. And you don't want to leave people with like too much, and they're like, okay, when's this over? So it's finding that right medium,
Exactly.
and I felt like it. And then he makes me 10 copies, and I joke with him that he spelled my name wrong. But
That was funny.
just kidding.
That was a good joke. It's such a blast from the past just to see you hold a stack of DVDs.
Right? I was thinking that
It's
too.
so crazy.
And then I say later too in commentary that I was too nervous to even give those out to anybody, and I think I do still have them.
Really? Why were you nervous to give them out? Like, you just didn't give them to your agent to, like, send places?
I don't think I did. I think, honestly,
Well,
like...
by the time you were allowed to get an agent, sorry to cut you off, my toxic trait, but by the time you were able to even get an agent after the mansion, you probably would have, like, evolved and had other things to add.
needed a new reel. I might have given one out to my agent that he could have made copies of or whatever, but I think, I don't know, but I felt like, and maybe it's I got the vibe at this time, but I didn't feel like the vibe that they are giving me is the vibe that I definitely got from them. That I wasn't worthy to be doing this. Like, I was
Right.
embarrassed of that demo reel.
Oh,
And
that's too bad.
I know. And
oh
I
my
think
God.
it's
I didn't realize
so-
it affected you that much in the moment.
I think it's so
That's
fucked
crazy.
up.
It really is. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. And watching it back, like I kind of like forgot all about it. Not forgot about it, but just like I don't think about it, I guess is the better way to say it. But like watching it back now, I'm just like, this is so fucked up.
It is, yeah.
I don't like it at all. I don't like this episode. Like I just, ugh.
Especially when that was supposed to be your future and what you
Yes.
wanted to do, and they're not like setting you up for success. But anything Kendra wants to do,
And that's the next scene. We're back down in San Diego. She's actually going back down to San Diego to look at a townhouse.
what's hanging from her rearview mirror? Because it looks like, on the video, I'll insert a picture, but it looks like a miniature dog pee pad. And obviously that couldn't have been what it was, but that's exactly what it looks like, is a doggy pee pad.
Oh, I didn't pay attention. I'd have to go back and look. And I brought this up last time, but so many people were also agreeing with me. Nobody knew that was her talent agent.
Yeah, I saw that in the Patreon. Everybody thought it was real estate agent.
I knew that that's what people were thinking. That's why I had to make it known on the last one. This is why it's so weird. This is not her real estate agent.
Yeah.
This is her talent agent. Like, why is he doing, like, finding her? Like, does your agent call you up and be like, Holly, I found some houses. Do you want to go look at them?
No, but I
Like,
wish you would.
like, it just doesn't happen like that. So it's
Yeah.
so weird. But this time, not only is her talent agent there, but there's a real estate agent and her mom and her grandma, and they're all with her.
And this scene bothers me.
Why? What about it?
Because, okay, she's late, as always. And here's how the little convo goes down between all the people waiting. How late is she? It's all right. She can do that. We work for her.
Oh, I know.
Because that was just life.
Yeah.
And it's annoying.
Yeah. And seeing that whole group of people there and seeing their comments like that, like waiting on her and everything, made me think about that Australian podcast that you were saying that she did recently.
Yeah.
And how she said that she always had this whole team around her and now she doesn't. She really did have like a whole team of people around her, from family to friends to a variety of different agents, from Kevin to like producers, hair and makeup artists. Like there was a whole team. And we've talked about this before about how it takes a whole team to
Yeah.
be successful. Like when you have a show and when you're like pushing things, it takes a whole team
Yeah.
to do those kinds of things.
Totally.
And it also reminded me what somebody was saying on social media too, that they were like, I really like Kendra and I feel bad that everyone around her is just a bad person.
Wait, who? I didn't see that comment.
Oh, I thought
That's
I sent it to you.
interesting.
Yeah, they're like, well, I really like Kendra, and I feel like it's not her, it's everybody around her is a bad person. Her mom and her husband and Hef and everybody was bad around her, so poor Kendra.
Okay, that's crazy. Because first of all, I mean, there's certainly like definitely bad people around. Like for so many times, even like with Kendra's and my falling out, like I know Kevin's to blame for a lot of that, and she just like hasn't fucking figured that out yet. But there's also so many good people. Like, look at her brother and how sweet her brother was coming on here and speaking so positively about everyone. And you can tell, like, he's been there from the start. And even though they've had their differences about things, like, he's always been so solid. Like, her grandma was amazing, you know.
And Kevin was always in her corner, always.
Yeah, even though he was toxic and I feel like broke up our friendship, He was toxic in a lot of ways, but he bent over backwards to make sure she was always employed for so long.
He took it as like his responsibility from that point on. It was like he owed it to her or
He
something.
didn't do that for us.
No.
I mean, it sucks what happened between her and Hank. Like, that is sucky. But for the most part, I think in a lot of ways, Hank was like a really good guy and a really present dad. She certainly had certain adversities and bad influences, but also so many people there to help her. Like, from the moment she stepped into the mansion, like, she wasn't as capable with certain things as you and I. So it was always like, how can we help you? How can we help you, Kendra? Whether it's Mary, whether it's Charlotte coming to her room to wrap the presents for her. It's like a team of people making sure she can keep up and picking up the slack. And she had so much support.
Right.
And all the people, all the producers, great people that we've worked with on her spinoffs who had to walk away and were treated poorly. And it's not she's all surrounded by bad people. That's not what it is.
Right. And her mom, like, whatever, there's mixed reviews on her mom and what, like, her mom has done or whatever, but her mom was always there for her.
Oh, totally. And cleaning her room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here at the condo, and her grandpa, we'll see later, is fixing it. And, like, they're all helping her with it. Everybody's trying to help her in every way they can.
Am I crazy? But didn't her grandpa manage the condo for her? Or am I crazy?
I don't know who managed it, but her family did. Whoever.
So conclusion, it was a mixed bag. There were bad people. There were good people. There were people who went.
Everybody's life.
Exactly.
That's everybody's life, in the spotlight or not.
Yeah.
Everybody's got good influences and bad influences, and everybody has people around them that, are a mixed bag. That's just the way it
people have to take
is.
Responsibility for their own actions at some point.
I think I've told you guys before, but Rocket Money actually messaged me to let me know that they could save me money on my cell phone bill. I mean, that's incredible just in itself, but did I also tell you that it tracks all my spending and it shows me all the categories and everything? It's such an easy way to keep track of all of my subscriptions and exactly how I'm spending my money. Because can you name every single subscription that you have? I know I can't. And I'm not alone. I just learned that over 74% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. With Rocket Money, I don't have to remember every subscription or worry about forgetting any because I can see them all laid out right in front of me. Managing finances is so important to me, and it should be important to you too, but sometimes it can feel complicated and time-consuming, right? Well, it doesn't have to be, because Rocket Money simplifies everything, making it so easy to see exactly what's happening with your finances, track your spending, and give you full control of all of it right from your phone. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bill so you can grow your savings. You see all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For any you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can even help you cancel them with just a few taps.
Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/nextlevel. That's rocketmoney.com/nextlevel. rocketmoney.com/nextlevel.
Yeah, you know what, that comment that agent says too, that we can do it, we can wait here for her even though she's like super late. We work for her and stuff. I feel like that's also doing that whole thing where they're making her look like she's like the star.
Yeah, they started seeding, I noticed, and I didn't even talk about this when this came up because I'm like, oh, people are sick of hearing me talk about how they favored Kendra in the edit. But even last season, in season 2, I started noticing little things like her confessional background would be the game house, and they'd put like a neon sign behind her that said superstar.
Yeah.
It's like there's little things throughout the show that they're seeding to make it look like she's this like breakout star and she's going to be this next celebrity and things like that.
And it's interesting because people listening to this might think, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Like, so what? It was just decoration. But like, I studied this in school. Like, in fact, I wanted to do my I told you this before, my master thesis on subliminal messages. And that is 100% a subliminal message. And people are learning from that, whether they think they are or not. Like, you are taking in that information. Your brain is taking in that information, and you are registering it as that.
Yeah, your subconscious mind takes in so much more than your conscious mind all the time.
Yeah, so these things aren't done on accident. They're done on purpose. And I know a lot of people are going to think that's crazy, but like, it is totally true.
100%. Did you ever watch the documentary Room 237?
Yes.
That's my favorite. I could watch that so many times, but it's about that. For those who don't know, it's about Stanley Kubrick's films and like the subliminal messages in The Shining and stuff like that.
I mean, advertisers used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And there's things that you can do that make people like want things. Like, you feel like you have to have it, like pouring a Coke and stuff, and the way the ice cubes are in there. Like, there's just things that they can do that make you want it, make you want to have that cigarette, make you want to have that beer. Like, whatever it is, they have ways of like your brain. It's stuff you don't even notice when you're looking at the message, but your brain sees it. And it's taking the message in.
Yeah. So if they want me to be the happy homemaker and they want Kendra to be the breakout star that they can bank on later, they'll plant that.
Right.
In so many ways, overtly and subliminally.
And they're doing it in here, and it's crazy. Because I don't think anybody is paying attention to that stuff.
Well, there's so many things in this show that I didn't even catch the first 5 times I watched it, and I'll catch new things now.
Yeah.
And then she says in confessional, I was asking all the questions a renter would ask because I was looking at it through their eyes. But I feel like that's something they asked her to say to like cover it up, because it seems like she's asking stuff for herself.
Yeah.
And again, nothing wrong with that if she wanted her own place or a place that would be hers someday. Did you see somebody on the Patreon chimed in and they said that they worked with Kendra's manager back then and they knew that Kendra was looking for a place that she would just rent out till the meantime?
Yes.
And that she was trying to decide between San Diego and LA, but she was too famous for San Diego or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that message. They said they know more information too. It'd be interesting.
Still it.
She's asking stuff about like the school district and things like that. And then she says, because I'm going to have kids soon. And I was wondering if she was being funny about that, just trying to be funny, or if she was serious about that. Of course, her mom freaks out. And like, you're going to have kids soon?
Yeah.
Like, no way. And then, her agent's asking her, like, if she's sure she wants to do this. It's a big step. Like, putting the stakes out there of, like, what's about to happen, like, what she's getting into. Making sure she's serious.
And then we cut back to the studio, and Tamara is just looking beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I just love looking at her. And it's showing this out of order because, like I said before, we wouldn't have been working on these other poses before the centerfold. And I was thinking, too, about how people back in the 2000s loved watching a photo shoot on reality TV. And I think that's because this was pre-Instagram, so people weren't really doing their own photo shoots. So it seemed like this kind of like exotic, cool thing that not everybody got to do. Like, I remember when we were planning Holly's World seasons, the network people would be like, do you have any fun photo shoots coming up? And that seems so funny looking back because, I mean, I don't really watch reality TV now, but I'm assuming a photo shoot isn't this entertaining thing in and of itself. Like, you might show it if there's something extra creative about it.
Yeah.
But back then, that's all you had to do for a reality show really was like, let's watch this photo shoot.
That's funny. I wonder.
Yeah.
So they're talking about how long it takes to light the set. And then you guys are finally ready to shoot. And Tamara's faces are very serious and stuff. And then Marilyn says, we've got to get her looking a little happier.
Yeah. And there were so many great pictures. It was hard to narrow it down. She was really such a home run with her and the whole team. And everything was on point.
But will Hef approve?
Yeah.
So you guys send over 2 options for the centerfold, and you call him and let him know that they're coming over and that you need to know the answer like ASAP. And then it's like the suspense is on.
Before we even get to that, it shows me kind of like working with Tamara to make sure that she likes the pictures and stuff. And that was always really important to me in the Playboy shoots, because obviously it's a big step to pose nude, and I want everybody to really like their stuff and make sure they're happy with it. And I remember, like, after I moved out, I was living in Vegas at Planet Hollywood with Laura Croft, one of the Playmates that I'd worked with. And after I left, they started farming all these Playmate outtake photos and printing them as like trading cards. And then they'd send them to the Playmates to sign so they could sell those cards. And I heard this like scream coming from Laura's room. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, who approved this picture? And it was some picture she didn't like. And she showed it to me. I'm like, it wasn't me. Wasn't. Like, they mined the archive after I was gone. Like, I would not have picked that picture.
Yeah.
But it was always so important to me that the girls, like, I didn't have them sit and go over like every single picture. Like, that would have been counterproductive. But while we were shooting, it was always super important to me that everybody liked what was going on.
Yeah.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This month, I'd like to say thank you to my mom because she is my sounding board for literally everything in my life. This month is all about gratitude, and along with the person I just shouted out, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world, that isn't easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. And if you need a good sounding board for all life's trials and tribulations, try BetterHelp. Therapy can empower you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma.
I've been very open with you guys about how therapy has helped me so much throughout every phase of my adult life. And I'm getting ready to dip back in because let me tell you, I'm super overwhelmed lately. I need somebody else to help me sort out my thoughts, sort out what I need to be doing, give me some advice. I'm ready for it. I need it. I'm here for therapy.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/nextlevel today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/nextlevel.
And then it's time to send the centerfold over to Hef. And what we did was we printed out the centerfold options, like 3 different versions of the same setup, and had someone drive that over to the mansion. And they weren't doing it like that before. What they would do is they would have a whole shoot day, take the time developing the film and stuff. Eventually the centerfold would get to Hef. Like, it would never happen the same day. But I was like, why don't you just drive it over that day? Which that is even crazy to think about because now you just email it.
Yeah.
And I guess you like could have emailed it them, but that just wasn't like Hef wanted to see the full quality, like what the centerfold looks like, printed out. So I just had somebody drive it from Santa Monica over there, and then we're just waiting on pins and needles to hear what he's going to say. And
I'm curious about the printing of that. Is it like a giant printer that prints these giant pages? That's crazy.
I still have a bunch of the original centerfolds that he like signed off on, like on the boards and stuff.
Oh, wow. That's a cool thing to have.
Yeah, I should bring them in and we could censor them. But
Yeah,
but they're kind of cool to look at. So we had somebody drive the hard copies over. And, you know, the old way was just kind of wasting a lot of time, but I guess nobody really ever thought of it. Like, we could save so much time if Hef just saw it that day.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they didn't even send him, like, a preview of, like, 'cause I don't think he would have looked at that. He wanted to see the whole thing. But, like, for example, when we were shooting Regina, the German Playmate, I had this whole setup and thought for her centerfold that was going to be, like, because she was from, like,
Bavaria?
Yeah, why am I... Munich. She was from Munich and she was like, she had been a German playmate. She was like the Oktoberfest playmate. So I love a theme. So I want to do that whole theme. And I had like a whole German old school pub built and we did this centerfold shoot. Hef hated it when I sent it out. It was weird because it wasn't that the theme wasn't cute. It just wasn't like the best pose for, it wasn't my best work. Oh. So we sent it over and Hef was like, I hate it. Really stupid idea. Because he's very candid. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, we need to scramble. And like, I really want to salvage this and get this done this day. So Arnie and I pulled like this big, like gilt framed mirror and this like beautiful chair and had her just kneel on the chair. And it was a mirror shot so you could see both sides of her body. And we threw like a man's shirt and a tie over it. And it ended up being my favorite centerfold we ever shot.
Wow.
But we were able to salvage it that day just super quick. And then we sent that one over. Or actually, I think I brought it home at the end of the day because all we could do was like, you know, 2 centerfold setups in a day. And he ended up really liking it. And I was like, whew. But see, that's why we would send it over that day is because you could turn it around and salvage it if you didn't like it. Otherwise, you're just wasting a whole day and not finding out until later.
Right.
And I think Hef even liked this more expedited process better, because even though there was some pressure on him, which ordinarily he wouldn't like that, like I would tell him, okay, today's a Centerfold day, so be ready around lunchtime. You're going to get a thing, like I don't think he would have liked that pressure with most things typically. But I think he did really like this because he felt really involved in the process in a way that he wasn't before, because they weren't bothering him with all those little details. But if I'm coming home and showing him a Centerfold and he's like, but what about stockings? And I'm like, okay, but that's another $10,000 shoot day. I could put her in stockings for the small camera photos and save you all that money. Like he's getting the info and what that really means, which he wasn't really getting before. And I think he really enjoyed the involvement in the process.
Yeah. Going back to Regina's pictorial, what didn't she after she did her pictorial and everything? Didn't she decide not to come back for her Playmate video?
Yeah, she didn't come back for her Playmate video, so that took her out of the running for Playmate of the Year, which is a shame because she won the Readers Poll that year and she would have got it.
Oh my God! I mean, I can totally see why she didn't want to do the video.
Yeah,
but
she missed out.
Yeah, I wonder what her reasonings were.
I think there might have been like a boyfriend situation.
I thought I heard
that was some gossip I heard. But I just think a lot of Playmates, when they, and me included, when you try out for Playboy, you know the pictorials and you want to do that, but you don't know the videos. And the videos are a whole other comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it was probably that.
Yeah. Oh my God, to think you could have won Playmate of the Year if you just did the video.
It's crazy.
Who did get it that year?
Ida.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's beautiful, too.
Yeah, she is, too. And on the studio, because the Playboy studio only took up half of that building, and there's like a for lease sign for the other part. And I thought that's ominous because it wouldn't be too many years later that Playboy would move out of that studio. And remember, I did a drive-by the day we did Marston's interview because we did that in Santa Monica. And I'm like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
And then somebody reached out to me, somebody who was an intern, and said that Ben, Steve's assistant, took the bunny sign from the side of the building.
Oh, that's cool that somebody got it. Yeah.
I think that's nice.
I'm curious. I wonder what they did. I probably auctioned them, but I wonder what happened to all the life-size Centerfolds.
Whoa, I don't know. Those might still be sitting in a storage unit somewhere.
Who would be paying for that? Just Playboy Enterprises, whoever
that is? I have
is?
no idea. Who knows where all that stuff is?
It's crazy.
It is a mystery. But Marilyn told me when she first found that studio in the 80s, because Playboy Studios used to be in a high-rise on Sunset, the Alta Loma building, which is why Alta Loma Productions is called that. The building was on Alta Loma. It used to be there, even I think maybe into the early 90s. I don't remember if it was the 80s or early 90s probably the early 90s based on the original Centerfolds they had on the walls. But Marilyn found that building and it was Sylvester Stallone's. He owned it first, and that is just where he would store all his art.
Okay.
Yeah. So then when Marilyn found it, she tried to convince Playboy to buy it, which I think would have been a really smart move, just given the appreciation of real estate in LA.
I think so,
and they said, no, we're not a real estate company.
Okay.
I think it was a good idea, though.
Yeah. Okay, so the suspenseful music is playing. You're sitting in a corner in a dark studio waiting for word from Hef. And, I mean, they just make it very suspenseful here. And then the intercom comes on and says, Holly, you have a call. Dun,
so
dun, dun.
You can see I'm not playing it up. I'm so nervous when I get the call. And what I expected was I thought the Centerfold looked great, but I thought we would get, direction. Like, here's what I want changed. My jaw was on the fucking floor when he approved it. On the floor. Like, in a way, I believe it because it was a great Centerfold, but my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. And you can see me running down the hall, Diet Coke in hand. I'm so excited to tell everybody.
Yes.
And it was just amazing.
Yeah. He says, congratulations, you have yourself a winner. Congratulations to all those involved.
Yeah. And obviously, I wouldn't have been able to do that without everybody at the studio being such a professional and being so amazing at their job and knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, I didn't do this myself. I just implemented a few things to expedite the process and found the girl and things like that.
Yeah.
And Marilyn says, I have a great eye, and she'd welcome me there with open arms. And she really did. Despite what she might be saying now, she really was incredibly welcoming to me.
Yeah.
And was already planning on retiring when I set foot in there. So, And it shows me leaving the studio with Tamara. I always drove the Playmates to and from the studio because why not? Carpool. And it was just a good chance to get to know everybody, and it was good bonding time, and I think helped make everybody feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think so too. And then in commentary, you say that you ordered a life-size blow-up of Tamara's.
I did for the
Centerfold.
studio because when I started working there, one of the first things I wanted to do was replace the blow-up centerfolds they had on the wall because, first of all, they're skylights in the studio, so they were so
Bleached out,
sun-faded.
yeah.
It just looked old. And all the blow-up centerfolds were blondes, except there was maybe like one brunette. And I'm like, this is not the diversity.
Yeah.
Like this is, like I wanted when women came in to do their Polaroid tests, I wanted everybody to feel welcome, like that could be me. So I made sure there was like a little bit of everybody up on there.
Yeah.
And that was a fun little job.
So then the next scene is back to me,
Yes.
leaving the editing office. And I say, now that I have my hosting demo reel, I feel like I'm one step closer to a career in that area, and I'm so happy to have it. It's done now, and I can start passing it out. And then I say, watch out, Hollywood.
Yeah. But the irony is, despite how he may have edited you, Kevin did hire you for a hosting show, so he couldn't have thought you were bad.
Right. But that's not the way they make it look on the
I
show.
know.
You know,
It's
that's
crazy.
that's not the message people are being given.
Totally.
Next scene, that was a really quick scene, by the way. And the next scene is Kendra walks into the loan office, and she says, this is the next chapter in my new life.
Yeah, so that goes with our original theory.
Oh, wait, sorry, I read it wrong.
No.
Kendra says this is the next chapter. Wait, this is the next step in a new chapter in my life. But I think that's saying the same kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
She's moving on and moving out.
yes. And I do think that whether you believe that this was an investment property or you believe that it was her kind of next step or whatever, it is planting the seed that Kendra's moving on.
It is, but I don't think the show is trying to plant that seed. Like, I think they're trying to make it look like this is just an investment property. I feel like they're mopping her up, really, because I feel like they're having her say things in confessional to let it be known this is a rental. Like, it's not for her. Like, she's saying things about the property she likes because she's putting herself in the renter's eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I think they really don't want anybody thinking that anyone would ever think about leaving Hef.
Oh, I don't think they want it either,
Yeah.
but it's definitely dropping the seed here.
Totally, yeah.
It definitely
In
is.
IRL, yeah.
And Kendra says something interesting here. She says this is an investment for her. Her first investment was her boobs. My boobs got me this condo. And I was thinking about that, and in so many ways, I think that's totally true.
Well, I feel like that about my boobs. I mean, how much money did I make in a topless show in Vegas?
Yeah, but it's so like it's so weird to like put it like that, but it's true.
100%.
I don't know. I just in my head, I'm just like kind of calculating that whole
Yeah.
thing because I'm just like that is true, and it's so interesting how like one little thing that you do can lead to so many other things, whether it's boobs or something else. You know?
Butterfly effect.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it really got me thinking.
And then it shows us in the dining room getting ready to go out, which is ironic because what we're getting ready to go out for is the event you see at the very top of this episode.
Yes.
So full circle moment.
Yeah.
And Hef is looking at the printouts of Tamara's centerfold, and that was such a great day for me.
Yeah, he says, I think you hit a home run the first time up to bat.
So I still love that centerfold. I still think it's so pretty. And it was the very first time Playboy shot a centerfold from start to finish in a single day, at least in the modern era. Well, yeah, getting it approved. No, it's the first time it got shot and approved. They might have shot one back in the day, but it wouldn't have been like approved in the same day.
Yeah.
So it's the first time Playboy shot a centerfold from start to finish, from start to approval in one day.
And you say, I'm changing the whole way of Playboy.
Yeah.
And you were, seriously. And we all cheer, and Archie barks. And do you notice Archie is at my feet again?
Yes, he's shadowing you.
It's such a weird thing. It's such a
really
weird thing to
is.
watch this back and see that all the time.
Because you
it's-
never noticed it.
No,
Yeah.
never.
And then in DVD commentary, I say that Tamara's centerfold was the easiest one I had done so far because by the time we did commentary, I think I'd produced probably 8 more centerfolds by that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and the camera kind of pans away from the mansion. And in commentary, we talk about a ceramic bunny that we would hide in scenes. Do you remember doing this?
I don't remember it, but the commentary jogged my memory. I just don't think we kept doing it for very long.
No,
and
but
I don't
I, like-
remember exactly what the bunny looked like.
Yeah, but I vaguely remember it, and I feel like we put it in the plants, the fake plants in the med room.
That makes sense.
And I don't know where else we put it, but I do remember doing that.
I've always loved an Easter egg.
I know.
So do you have a best and worst? Because I forgot to write mine down.
Oh, I did mine.
I've been we've like switched roles on the
I
best
know.
and worst because
So the worst, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, is the food shit again for me. There's a couple things in this one: the food shit and making me look like shit for my demo reel. I think that they were trying to set it up from the very beginning with the whole Pam Anderson scene and everything. Like, I feel like they are trying to make it look like you girls will never be as famous as that, or you'll never be a Pam Anderson. So, like, let's just, tamper your expectations here. Like, I just feel like that's kind of what they're saying. Or at least that's the gist that I get after rewatching it now. And I do think that Kendra was definitely looking for an apartment for herself, or, like, not at the immediate, but for a place to go after that. That's my worst. My best is, I think that even though they were trying to make us all, or at least you and I, look like we weren't worthy of what we were doing and stuff, I think that you got a win in this episode. I think that you did an amazing job, and they can't deny that or take it away from you. And and they have to show it,
Yeah, that's, for me, is definitely my best, is just that happening, and just seeing Tamara and seeing how pretty that set was, and just that whole experience, and being able to have that on camera and relive it is really special to me. So that's definitely my best. I think worst is, like you said, making you look incompetent at hosting. And I think what I would have liked in place of that is learning more about, why are you drawn to this? Why are you drawn to hosting? What do you really want to do? What do you think the obstacles are? I mean, they would have never done this on the show because Playboy was always portrayed as like the be-all, end-all, best thing ever. But in reality, like, I would have liked to know, do you feel like being a Playboy girl limits your potential opportunities in this field? What exactly do you want to prove? Like, I would have liked to know more behind the scenes. And like, what's your real struggle with this? Because I get it, like, every episode needs a conflict, and they made the conflict, oh, she's not really good at this, so the editor has something to work through. But I would have liked to know, like, what is really your biggest challenge with this? And like, why is this important? Like, I think that would have been more interesting to me. Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So what did draw you toward hosting? Like, what do you think appealed to you about it? And what do you love about it?
I mean, I love learning about things. I love interviewing people. And I feel like hosting is a way to do that, to like go and experience things and tell other people about it. And also interview people who are the aficionados about it. I mean, it's kind of what I do on my Ghost Bunny podcast. It's what I did on the travel show and what I wanted to do more of on the travel show. They kind of sculpted it the way they wanted it. But I like going to different places and learning about it. Whether it's through interview or experience or both, and then telling other people about what I just learned and how amazing it is, or how scary it is, or how crazy it is, or whatever it is. So I love doing that. I like to be the messenger, I guess. And I think that's what appeals to me about hosting, is it's that. And I get to go and experience things and tell other people about it.
Totally.
And that's what I love to do.
Well, I think you're a great interviewer.
Thank you.
Interviewer.
Thank you.
Interviewer. That's why I hang back in our interviews so often. If you could host any kind of dream show right now, if you could, they just let you do anything and you didn't have to care about what would be successful or what would get the ratings. You could just do whatever the fuck you wanted. What would it be?
Probably a travel log.
Yeah.
Because it would be themed of different things, but I love people when they tell me like, oh, you need to come here and try this or do that or go here or anything. I would love to just do a show, and I was pitching it for a while back in the day, but where I just go and experience those things, like whether it's the best milkshake or like the scariest place or whatever. Like and each time it could be something different, but I'm here to experience something that somebody told me was absolutely amazing or is the best of or the scariest thing or whatever. Like I want to go because I just love going and experiencing all kinds of things in life. And I feel like that gives me the excuse to do it, and it's my job.
Yeah.
Like I love it. Like that's what I would love to do. I thought about doing a YouTube channel that was kind of like that. And I kind of get to do that with just doing Ghost Bunny and just doing like paranormal stuff. And which is my, of course, big love. But I would love to do it with other things too. Food. Shocker.
Totally.
And travel and other things,
Well, that's what I loved about the Samantha Brown shows is she'd kind of have a little package of what she did. Like I remember for the time, it was rare to see a travel show where you didn't just go to some big attraction, but she also stopped at like the cutest espresso bar on the way. Like it kind of gave you an idea of what your whole day could look like there.
Yeah.
And that's what I really loved about that show.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff too. And I feel like it's sort of like people will message me and be like, "Oh, where did you eat? And what did you do?" And like they kind of want the itinerary. So I feel like there is a want out there for that kind of information.
I think so too, for sure.
I like even with Girls Next Door when we traveled and stuff like that, people they love seeing our itineraries and how we did it and what we fit in and where we ate and, how we got there and, those kinds of things. People like to see those details.
Totally.
And I wanted my travel show to be more like that.
Yeah.
But I was vetoed.
What was their idea with your travel show? Like, what did they, like, obviously I watched it, but like, what was their thought?
Weird shit. Like, first of all, they didn't want anything on camera that wasn't on the beach. So that really limits you. I know it's about the 100%. Beaches, but there's other things to do that are near the beach in this town that we want to do. And they wanted everything to be on the beach.
Because if you're going somewhere on a vacation, you're not just going to be on the beach the whole time. There's going to be a restaurant, a spa, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's hard.
There's going to be zip lining and like things that you do that aren't on the beach. And we got away with some of it.
Yeah.
But that was always a constant no. It's got to stay on the beach. We want her on the beach. We want her on the beach. And then they wanted weird shit. Like they wanted to know every place they wanted me to describe the sand.
Okay.
And it was such a weird thing that we had to do. Like, I had to tell you, like, why Croatia sand is different than Turks and Caicos sand. And, like, is it sugar fine? Is it white? Is it, like, how does it feel? What does it look like? Like, what? And I'm like, why nobody cares about this?
That seems slow. I feel like you can see it in the shot. And if you want to drop a fun fact about why the sand is the way it is when you're talking about it, one thing, but...
Yeah, like if there's a significant difference in the sand in one place, like for instance, Croatia was very rocky. It was like pebbles and stuff. It wasn't like smooth sand beaches in most of the places that we were at. That's a significant thing to let people know that it's different like that. Might want to bring your water shoes.
Yeah.
Versus like Turks and Caicos where it's like pure white and super fine and sugary and stuff. But like, is that really why people are tuning into the show? I don't think so.
Yeah, I picture you like sending the sand off to a lab and getting it tested.
Right,
shit.
that's what it
That's
felt
probably what they
like.
wanted.
I was like, this is so boring, and there's only so many adjectives to describe the sand.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh my God, it's tough when like the network doesn't know what they want or thinks they know what they want, and it's just kind of like. Awkward.
Yeah. I wanted it to be way more travel-loggy than it was. I wanted it to like actually even start with me at the mansion preparing for the trip. Like this is what I think I'm going to do and this is what I want to do and this is, and this is me packing.
Yeah.
And this is me getting there. Like so people kind of saw it was more like I wanted more like a reality show about it and featuring the places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been better suited, I think.
I think so, too. And then they always wanted me to be with a local, which I love that idea. But it always had to be like a hot local.
Oh. So you didn't necessarily get the personality along with it?
Yeah. And that makes it kind of hard. And then finally they let me to start bringing somebody with me. So I got to bring like Sarah and Pilar and Kara.
I want to go back and watch this show now, and we'll get to it on the podcast when we start talking about spinoffs, because I want to see who the hot local for every episode was.
Right.
That's so funny.
I mean, a lot of times it was like a local model or like I remember in Jamaica, it was Miss Jamaica.
Oh.
So,
Nice.
And she was really nice and really fun. But some of the people were like...
not delivering.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's so interesting. I feel like what I did at the studio, I definitely carry that with me. Like, obviously, I'm not producing other people's shoots for a magazine. But, like, there is nothing... Like, I've been thinking a lot about this with, like, manifestation and stuff. I shouldn't say nothing I love more because I like a lot of things I do. But one of the things I love more than anything else is creating still images and being with a crew of really creative people and helping their vision come to life. And I just feel like for the past couple of years, anytime I've been on a photo shoot, it's just been like the best people, just like the hair and the makeup and the photographer and the stylist. It's just been all like, I just feel like I'm with my people when I'm on these sets. And I just like, I really, really love it. Even like right after I got divorced, like quarantine era, when there was like nothing to do, it was like me and Vic would just go out and like take pictures at random places. And it's just like, I have such a love for it. Mm-hmm. So we're still the same girls.
Yep.
And if you guys would like more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel. Check out our merch at girlsnextlevel.shop. And we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.